And I said, let there be light. Cue the music. Welcome back to another episode of On the Shelf. I am your host, Stephen Daly Jr., and today we are talking about a game that horrified my fucking childhood, Resident Evil 2. Now, I remember when this game first came out in 1998, I think it was, and I remember being a scared kid hiding behind the couch as my dad played this game. I mean, it was funny because he bought a PlayStation, brand new, and he bought a handful of games, a lot of games that I could play, but there was just the one that he got for himself, and now as an adult, I understand, but he went and got himself a brand new game, and it was Resident Evil 2, and I had no idea what to expect from it. He told me, he's like, yeah, you might want to leave, it's going to be a scary game. And I stayed, and that game haunted my dreams for a while. So, of course, playing this game was both exhilarating and exciting and scary, all just meshed into one giant emotional ball. For those of you who might not know me very well, Resident Evil 4 is one of my favorite games, and that was one of those games where, some people argue that, yeah, it's more action-based than it is horror-based, and they're not entirely wrong, but to be honest with you, it still had enough horror in it that, it might not be full-on survival horror like Resident Evil 1 or 2 were, but it was still, one of those games that still defined the genre. And I love Resident Evil 4. I've played through Resident Evil 4 probably about a dozen times. Yeah, when this game was announced and I got to see just what they were going to do with it, I was excited for the third person over the shoulder, because the old camera angle, some people argue with you, but I hated it. Yes, it was scary, and it did add a level of tension, but I'm not gonna lie, the tanky movement of 4 mixed with that survival horror of 2 meshes perfectly. Let's go over the things that were good, that were bad, things that I loved, things that I hated. And we'll start off with the good this time around. The game is freaking gorgeous. They did a great job absolutely remaking this thing. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't really paid attention to Capcom's track record with this. And I feel like I did them a disservice for that. Capcom has gotten a lot of shit in the last decade or so, and deservingly so. But I'm not going to lie, the last couple years, last 2-3 years, they've done a really good job getting back to not just their roots, but what makes them a great company. You're talking about, they did a remaster of the remakes of Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 0. And honestly, they're fantastic. Yeah, I didn't give them enough credit for the remasters that they have already done. And then, of course, they remastered 4, and it flows really well. They didn't change much graphically like they did with Resident Evil 0 or Resident Evil, the original. Or obviously even the remake of Resident Evil 2. But they did enough to where, it's still a nostalgia trip. And Resident Evil 2 is just that. It's a nostalgia trip. So not only is this game gorgeous, it is gruesome, it is brutal. I love every second of it. The zombies and the character models for Claire and for Leon are fantastic. The zombies look disgusting. They look half-eaten. They look rotten. Their flesh falling off. They look terrifying. And you can't ask for anything more. Even back in 98, they still looked somewhat terrifying, but now, with the clear graphics that we have now, the abilities and the powerhouse of both PC and consoles that we have now, so trumps what used to be in 98. And seeing some of the creature designs and seeing some of the models updated the way that they are is a freaking treat. And seriously, straight up, they took entire scenes of the original game and completely just remastered them in such a way that, as soon as you entered a certain area in the police station, you knew. There were certain areas that sent shivers down my spine, because I was expecting something to pop out of me that I had seen in the original game. And it scared me. It made it where I was like, I really don't want to go in there because I know what's waiting for me. So to go along with those just horrible creatures, it has to be the fact that you have to have great sound design, and this game absolutely does. The sound design in this game is fantastic, from the guttural screams from the zombies, who will see you, scream at you from across the fucking way, and come lurching after you, alerting everything, including the tyrant.
Get down!
To the sounds that both the tyrant makes with his heavy-ass boots and the screams of blood-curdling nature from the lickers before they attack you, and hear to sit there and the click-clack of their nails against the fucking walls. Everything is absolutely fantastic. And it really does pull you into that horror setting, as you can hear things in like the distance. You can hear people firing gunshots off in the distance, or even within the police station. And after seeing the bloody battles afterwards, everything is just so great in here. The lighting, the atmosphere, and of course the audio. Funny enough, that's another positive of this game. When they did a remake of this game, they kept most of the story bits the same, and they kept most of the areas the same, but they did change a couple things here and there to help spice things up and to make it feel like a brand new game, even though you know what this game is and you know somewhat what to expect. And I felt like it was a good move on their part, because there was a particular area that gave me slight PTSD that I walked down and I was expecting a particular character to jump out at me, and they didn't. And I kind of let my guard down for a second to then get mobbed by a zombie who was waiting around the fucking corner. So it's great. That's fantastic. It's a great way to really pay homage to the horror roots that it has. Another huge thing that they did was they went ahead and did retcon some things. Where Resident Evil 2 story, I actually had to look it up and reread it because it's been so long since I played the game. I haven't owned it in forever. I didn't remember just how convoluted some of the story bits were. And, you know, once again, some people might say, well, that's the point. But to be honest with you, the fact that they streamlined a few things here and there, kept most of the major bits the same, but they streamlined some of the side stuff to make it not only fall in line a little bit better, a little bit easier, the pieces snap together, but also help fall in line a little more with future entries. And it felt like, honestly, I haven't seen anybody bitch or complain about some of the retcons or some of the changes that they made with the game. Everybody has said nothing but positive things, and they should. The game is really good. I've seen some people say, hey, it might even be a Game of the Year contender. And while I can't say no, I can't say yes either. We have so many games coming. I mean, Metro Exodus next weekend. We've got Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. We've got Days Gone that looks fantastic. Another zombie game that's, you know, looks like a beautiful blend of 28 Days Later meets The Walking Dead, and I can't wait. And there's just so many other games that are supposed to come out this year, or might potentially come out this year, that prevent it from being able to get that status from me. But that doesn't mean that I can already tell you right now, it's more than likely going to be in my top 10 unless we really have just so many freaking great games that I can't put it on the list. Yeah, I mean, the more that I think about it, the more that I play it through my head, the more I'm like, man, there's not a whole lot of negative about this game. I mean, even more positive changes. Okay, so the inventories are short and empty like they used to be. And while some people might say, oh, well, that sucks because, you know, you've got so many items that you can't hold everything all at once. And while it's a problem for a game like Fallout 76, which requires you to sit there and have all of these items hoarded to your stash, that way you can dismantle them to make new shit, this is slightly different. And it's meant to be that way. It's meant to make you think, okay, is it a good idea for me to go back to a place where I can store this stuff, come back and grab this? Is there going to be something that's going to grab me? Is there going to be something that's going to chase me? Is there going to be something that's going to sit there and kill me to go get this green fucking herb? First aid? Oh no. Do I even have any... Do I have even any space for this? Oh, could really use it, but I mean, I've got my gun. I got a key. I got herbs. Oh, I'm gonna have to put all my back up. I'm gonna have to come back for it. I don't want to. But I don't know, maybe if I use the herbs right now and... Oh shit! And yes, while it could be frustrating, that's the point. It's supposed to make you really, like, think your decisions through and manage your inventory as best as you can. And it's great. I love it. And it makes it where backtracking feels purposeful rather than almost kind of lazy. This is what backtracking should be. But what helps with the backtracking more than anything is the fantastic map design and the fantastic idea to mark the items that you have seen on your map. And while you might have like blue and red sections showing areas that you haven't either fully explored or gotten all the items for, blue actually shows areas where you have cleared, so that way you don't wind up having to go back to certain areas and look and make sure that you didn't miss anything important, which is great level design. It's great. It's a great addition to a remake. I mean, honestly, this is how you remake a game. Yes, they changed up the camera angle, they retconned some of the less important parts in the story to help streamline it. They went ahead and they added new things. They helped bring back some of the nostalgia. These are all really great things. And I can't sit there and praise it enough. And it looks like most people agree with me. I mean, I haven't really seen anybody say anything different. You know, you have two campaigns. You have a Leon campaign and you have a Claire campaign. And as you complete both campaigns, you're going to meet different characters at different times. You're going to have different interactions with certain people. Now, the one small goof and the one small gaffe is that, interestingly enough, you play through A and B, while it lets you go ahead and interact with certain different characters, there are certain scenes that are almost exactly alike that don't really match up or make sense. It's almost like it's a parallel world. And it's kind of goofy. Like certain scenes where like certain boss fights still play out the same from A and B rather than like having different boss fights. Like you could have it to where maybe you have to face the same boss in the same area, but they could have mixed it up. Zombies are absolute trucks. And it makes it where it adds to that whole survival horror thing where you gotta conserve your bullets. And honestly, I mean, once again, that's a fantastic part of this game, is trying to make sure that you really pay attention. I mean, there's some enemies you're going to want to just run by, or some enemies you're going to want to block off with because you have like things, additions like boards and things to sit there and put up and put in the way so zombies can't come pouring through, you know, open windows or shit. But there's just going to be a lot of enemies that you're going to like just want to run away from. I mean, there was an incident where particularly I was being chased by like 12 zombies and the tyrant, and it was the scariest fucking thing in my life, and I don't know how I made it out alive. I had no bullets, no grenades, no anything. I was literally just running and screaming, and it was freaking great. Which also leads me into one of my last points, honestly. The tyrant. They remade and completely, not retcon per se the tyrant, but they retconned the tyrant from being just particularly in mostly Claire's story. In the original Resident Evil 2, the tyrant was dropped to find the G-Virus sample to drop in to find Sherry's pendant. But in this one, he's dropped to basically wipe out and mop up any straggling people. The fact that they did that, they made that small little change, doesn't completely overhaul his character per se. As, I mean, he doesn't really have one. He's a big hulking monster sent to destroy everything. They didn't need to do much depth there. But it makes it where with Leon, he'll chase Leon and he'll chase Claire all around the fucking thing. And it's scary. You hear those boots coming around and you are shitting bricks. And I love it. It's both terrifying and frustrating at the same time. And I honestly don't think I'd want it any other way. Think the xenomorph in Alien Isolation, where you can't make a lot of sound, and you can't sit there and be running around. I mean, you gotta be quiet. You literally have to sneak around while making sure you avoid his gaze. It's really hard. And there's only like 3 or 4 spots in the entire game where he won't go. Everywhere else, he will chase your ass throughout the thing. You're going to be dodging lickers, you're going to be dodging zombies, you're going to be dodging dogs. While this dude is just chasing after you, and he's fast, dude. He's do, and you hear them heavy boots behind you, like, fucking run, bitch! But if all that didn't convince you that this is a must fucking buy, the very last thing, honestly, that really puts this game over the top, especially for me, is the fact that they're actually going to add free DLC. They announced it here, I think, about a week ago, and they talked about how with Resident Evil 2, they wanted to add in a few stories and tidbits and some backstory stuff on things that they never were able to really explore back in '98. And they're adding it for free. 3 stories about 3 different characters that we know bits and pieces of, but we never were able to see things unfold, and they're just going to start giving it to us on February 15th. And honestly, this is a changed Capcom. And honestly, guys, I can't fucking praise you enough for not only delivering a fantastic product, not only being able to have us relive nostalgia, but also be able to give us something that almost feels fresh and brand new. And, I mean, especially with Capcom's latest games, I mean, they had Monster Hunter World last year, at the beginning of the year, about the same time. That was absolutely fantastic, giving free DLC updates, constantly keeping it alive and fresh. They gave Resident Evil 7 almost similar treatment. I mean, they gave it a fantastic game with fairly cheap DLC. The DLC wasn't even that expensive. And I mean, that's how you guys do it. You guys doing a fantastic job. Keep it up. And yes, we all want Resident Evil 3. If you haven't gotten that message, please, if you're watching this, give us Resident Evil 3. Also, one last little thing too, and a side note that I felt like I didn't get to explore very much, so that's why I forgot about it. But one other really good thing too is they have a sort of, not a horde mode per se, but it's you're one of the Umbrella agents trying to get certain things in certain areas while you're dodging zombies, lickers, dogs, and all this other stuff. So there's 2 bonus modes. One is called the Fourth Survivor, and it has you as Hunk, one of the Umbrella operatives, in a timed mission where you're trying to sit there and complete certain objectives while you're in certain scenarios, dodging zombies and all this other stuff. And it's a great little addition. And of course, they had to sit there and put in a goofy one, the Tofu mode, where you actually walk around as a block of tofu. It's the starring role, which is great. It's all fantastic. And I mean, there's all kinds of unlockable stuff. There's all kinds of, objectives for you to try and complete for different, completing different scenarios, getting different rankings, all kinds of stuff. I mean, you've got your unbreakable combat knife, the samurai edge with infinite ammo, the LEE-5 submachine gun with infinite ammo, the rocket launcher with infinite ammo, minigun with infinite ammo. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. More reasons for you to want to play through the different scenarios. Because that's the other thing, that's really the biggest thing too, is with each scenario, like I said before, you get to play through Leon and Claire. But you can also flip-flop it and play with Claire first and have different interactions with certain characters, and then play with Leon and have certain different interactions. So it gives you more reasons to want to come back to this game, if there wasn't already enough. Alright, so with that, I'm going to wrap this review up. I know it's a little shorter than the rest of them, and it should be. This doesn't need to be long. It's a fucking great game. Go get it. It's worth your $60, honestly. And if you didn't want to wait $60, you want to wait for a sale, then do that. But as soon as you get that sale, go buy this game. It's a good one, and it does absolutely belong on your shelf, as I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10, a legendary rating. And you might ask, why? Then why does it deserve it as a remake? And the reason why is because, really, the more that I thought about it, and the more that I played through the game, there's nothing I'd remove. There's nothing I really would do different. From the cheesy dialogue, another thing I didn't really touch on, the cheesy 90s-like dialogue, the fantastic cutscenes, the emotional pulls, as well as the fantastic character designs, the sounds, everything. There's nothing in here that I would sit there and change. Everything in here is done to almost perfection, and it absolutely belongs on your shelf. So anyways, guys, that'll do it from me. I'm glad to finally be wrapping this up. And I think I feel like I'm caught up. I'm gonna sit there and put out a couple other reviews here over the next week before I get hit with 3 fucking games next weekend. But I promise that I will actually go ahead and make sure I get them out in a timely manner. I'm gonna be hitting them hard. I'm gonna be hitting them often. And I'm excited. There's a lot of good stuff coming out that I cannot fucking wait for. I hope you guys are there. If you want, stay tuned and find out what games are worth buying. Because, like I said, there's a lot of them coming out. I mean, there's 3 next week. Anthem comes out after that. You know, if money's tight, let me fucking help you. Let me fucking tell you, hey, this is what to expect. That's what I want to do. That's what I'm trying to do. So, but anyways, if you guys liked the video, hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I'm gonna keep trying to make these things better. I'm gonna keep trying to be, I'm gonna keep trying to sit there and make better content. And I do it because hopefully I have you guys watching. But anyways, I'll see you guys next time on the Shelf.